Hey, what's up, everybody? Time for another social study video game psychology sort of video rambly thing, right? If you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. And of course, some of this has to deal with my own personal drama, but I want to compare some stuff like the speedrunning community to fighting games. I want to talk about the idea of don't outperform the master. So I got a lot of different things. And I was also thinking about this because even of the infiltration situation recently where he's trying to get reinstated to play tournaments or whatever, but I definitely agree with the idea that there's people that have done worse than him that are allowed to enter tournaments, right? But people are just afraid because he's actually good and he's not part of, the cool kids, so to speak, or maybe the in crowd. That's not to say that everything that I think infiltration has done is good or is not worthy of some scrutiny. You know what I mean? But certainly there's people that have done worse than him that have free range to do whatever they want in the community, right? So, and when I think about why is there so much drama in fighting games, right? And of course, you would think because in fighting games, video game wise, unlike if you're playing like a Mario game or like a Street Fighter game or a Mario game, a Sonic game, Mega Man game, whatever it is, generally speaking, unless you have like a mental illness, that's you versus the computer, let's say. And you're not going to get in an argument with the computer. Like, fuck you. Like, of course you get frustrated, right? But you're not probably actually making up lies about the computer. I know what you did, computer, yesterday. You faked cancer or some shit, right? So, but maybe something that might be similar is I've always thought that speedrunning, right? Because speedrunning, once you get into speedrunning, then there actually is a competitive sort of like aspect like fighting games, right? It is kind of you versus the other person. And I've tried to search in speedrunning in that kind of like community to see like how much drama is there, right? And is it comparable to anything that I actually have experienced, right? And of course, I put in this thumbnail, the Billy Mitchell shit. Like the Billy Mitchell shit is so weird. Like I feel like there's not even any sort of like question to whether or not the guy is shady. And his whole group of friends, they have, there's that guy, the dragster thing. I'm not old enough to remember dragster, but, I thought they said that you can't even cheat to do the scores that this guy was claiming to do in dragster. So the guy is surrounded by people that are very disingenuous, right? But for somehow the Billy Mitchell guy is still succeeding. Well, succeeding. He's still surviving somehow. Right? And I think that goes to, I've talked about before, and I got other speedrunning comments to talk about that I think might be interesting if you don't know anything about speedrunning. They're interesting to me at least, is that I've talked about this idea of that sometimes you're, say, in a sport, you might be a homer or something like that. Like, oh, I always love this team or something, or I'm biased towards this player, right? And fighting games are interesting in that kind of aspect too, because you have you might be like, oh, I'm team grappler or I'm team fireball, dragon punch trap. I like these kind of characters. I like these kind of characters. And so not only do you have this sort of potential biasness towards a character you like in a fighting game, then think about like just the human aspect, like, oh, I don't like how that person looks, blah, 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 whatever. You know what I mean? I think they might be shady. I don't trust them, right? So there's a lot of potential drama in fighting games, right? And maybe some people are just, they're team Billy Mitchell for some reason. I don't know. Like I said, whenever I looked into the Donkey Kong shit, I feel like there's no question, is the guy shady? And has he done these things to me? Or not done these things to me, but done these things, MAME and all this other kind of bullshit, right? And other kind of speedrunning thing stuff too, though, is as much drama as there is. And one interesting thing, if you actually, and it's actually sad, if you go look up, did you know in the Mega Man X speedrunning stuff that there's some players they like or they don't like? Well, I guess there's players they like, obviously, but there's certain players that they don't like. And so they will not put them on the world rankings. They don't even have like the world. You have to go to a different site to actually see the world speedrun of Mega Man X. Because they don't like the person that actually got number one. And other people they don't like, they won't have them talking, so you can't tell it's their video. Like there actually is some pretty shady shit like in speedrunning, right? But as much shady shit as there is, did you know in certain speedrunning communities, which is crazy because, you know, comparing to fighting games, there's still sort of this like moral code. And of course, like people do get caught cheating, you know, welcome back, you absolute legends. You know what I mean? Or watch any of these kind of speedrunning people talk about, you know, people that have gotten cheating. But certain speedrunning communities actually do have a sort of community to the point that it's actually sort of, I would say, comical. Like, say there's an example, and you can look it up. Apparently, there's this idea that if you find tech in certain games for speedrunning, you are sort of morally obligated to tell other people the tech. And you are not allowed to, it is frowned upon if you get a world record with tech that you have not shared to the community, because then it feels like you are not playing on an even playing field. And there's even this Mario Kart drama with it once where apparently there's this pretty legendary Mario Kart guy who is, you know, I feel like it's not even a shit talk against him. Like, he's apparently a legendary player, but he was so good. So certain people started trying to get better than him, I guess. And whenever they would find new strategies, they started not posting the record because they wanted to like one up him and post so many new world records at once that he wouldn't be able to compete for a while because he would have to play catch up. And I guess it was kind of frowned upon in the community because it's like hoarding records or hoarding tech when you should be sharing tech, which I'm not saying you shouldn't share tech, but the idea that some of these guys actually got hate for it seems pretty strange to me. Like, can you imagine that in the fighting game community? Like, oh, you know, especially back in the day in the fighting game community where it was like, oh, don't share your tactics until after nationals. You know, we need any kind of one-up we can get, right? You know, it's just, that's kind of weird, especially if you come from the fighting game community, right? And that's not to say, like, I mean, look at me. I'm an open book with tech. You know, I'm generally always sharing all this tech, right? You know what I mean? So I think that's pretty weird. But, you know, there's that idea in fighting games of people, they want to, you know, save their tech and whatever. But I think what I'm getting at is that does show as much shadiness as I have seen in the speedrunning community trying to look it up. Like I said, legitimately, they will not post certain people's records. And it's kind of sad that you can go to certain leaderboards and then you look elsewhere and it's like, oh, that guy is actually not as good as he says he is. Like, there's people that have actually beat him, but they're not popular. So they're not on the world record, which is crazy, you know? But again, I've tried to like search, is there anyone that has ever been in my kind of situation? You know, and unfortunately, I can't find anything like it in speedrunning, right? And again, this goes into the normal, I guess. You know, I got my own axe to grind. You know, it's just crazy how much people have tried to hide what I've done in video games. And it goes to show that idea of don't outperform the master. When I've talked about the infiltration thing, I mean, God, you know, some of the stuff he has done, it is, you know, it's reasonable it should be scrutinized, right? But there's also people that have done much more terrible things. Marn and Flash, look at those tournaments that they actually got caught rigging, and the tournaments actually got completely canceled after people had bought plane tickets while they're there. The tournament had already been going on a day, and they're like, well, the tournament's half over. So they just had to cancel everything. They're still allowed at tournaments. I heard about that, and I wasn't even in the scene, so to speak, anymore. So, and of course, look at all the terrible things people have done to me. You know, look at this crazy shit, like that Rom Nito shit, all this. I'm still, like, if people say that, Clayton, you're focused on the past. I'm focused on the past, or is the community focused on the past? Constantly trying to push this lie that never happened about me, or push their lies that they have done all this stuff in video games, right? I'm still putting out new tech in video games to the point we just showed that people are trying to say it's fake and not real. These were just recently. I'm still putting out tech in all these games. Oh, it's not real. Don't watch Clayton's videos. Fucking Rom Nito, that fucking idiot. Don't post Clayton's videos. Oh, don't post his Hayato videos. You can only post Magnus videos. Can you imagine that? And again, I'm just thinking about, you know, if you go from like a fucking a speedrunning community. And that's why I say, because speedrunning, you think there is a competitiveness to it. But even in this competitive sort of ether of speedrunning, where there is a competition between two people to the point that they will try to legitimately take away your world record, which is crazy. But for tech, there's this sort of unspoken rule about tech in that you should not hoard tech because it lowers the game and it puts people on a not even playing field, right? And like I said, to a certain point, I agree. I don't think you should just hide everything. But the fact that those guys in the Mario Kart community actually got hated on and people said it was almost like they cheated to get the world record then because they didn't post tech, I think is actually totally ridiculous, especially when you have people that legitimately do cheat. But, you know, again, just comparing these communities. And then you have a fighting game community, though, that is competitive that will try to hide tech. And they try to hide even who shows you the tech. Now, again, I've said this before. And post in the fucking comments, and I'm sure you can't, who has posted more tech in fighting games than me in the history of fighting games? Nobody. That's why you got to fucking try to hide it. And I mean, I still got people trying, oh, you shouldn't have talked about Max and how he did all that stuff to you. Max made all that money off you. Don't talk about that. Oh yeah, James said you're one of the most important people ever in fighting games, but he's not allowed to talk about you. But don't talk about that. Even though James, we're talking about infiltration is so evil. James has Mikey on his stream who is canceled, but now he posts under a fake name, so it's okay. You know, like, okay, ridiculous, right? Buttmocker telling his fucking audience that everything I do is fake, not real, then takes what I did, puts his own, tries to tell people I fake cancer, all this crazy shit. Like I said, no one has ever done what I've done in fighting games, right? And I've actually even won tournaments. Well, like, I mean, going to some of the shady shit that happened to me going to these tournaments, winning as a sick kid, right? And of course, that's not to say that I've done competitively what infiltration is, you know, not comparing myself exactly to him, but the idea that you can be unpopular and it doesn't matter how good you are, so to speak. If you were unpopular with the right crowd and the right crowd has power, so to speak, you get canceled, right? Even though the fighting game community knows there's so many worse people. Do you think Maximilian is a fucking better person than infiltration? If he will let a guy get lied about like me, and then he was afraid, he has millions of followers. He made money off of what I taught him, but he was afraid to say my name until he saw his audience liked me. James Chen, oh, innocent James Chen. Oh yeah, I know everyone lied about you, Clayton, and you know, oh, you want me to spread your story? I'll spread your story. Very next day on stream, oh yeah, people are making up lies about Clayton. He refused to talk about it. Well, you know, I'm not allowed to talk about you on stream. Why? Oh, all those Bandai Namco streams. Who's done it? Where the fuck is the Dragon Ball FighterZ tech even from? Oh yeah, well, you know, we couldn't, you know, talk about you on stream, so we had to act like the stream chat was broken because it would be controversial to say your name. Don't you think it, but you guys will mention people who've lied about me? That's not controversial. Oh yeah, we couldn't put Clayton's name on the wiki. You know, the list goes on and on. Like, look at the fucking Guilty Gear shit. How much Guilty Gear tech is there without me in these fucking old games, dude? Who's the person that brought all this knowledge that people now make money off of, dude? Oh, but we can't talk about you, Clayton. Oh yeah. Who? I would say, and you know, talk about tech, I have actually said, don't give me credit for shit. Unlike people, and I'll talk shit about them again. Fucking Desk. Desk is a fucking joke to me, I've said before many times. And people, I can't believe Clayton says shit about Desk, how Desk takes credit for stuff that he hasn't actually done. You know, Desk never said that he came up with it. He just is making money off of it, and so he doesn't want to talk about it. Yeah, okay, no shit, motherfucker. No shit. I have no moral respect for that bullshit. You know, it's just, come on, man. The community is full of fucking frauds, right? And that's why I get it again, you know. Don't outperform the master. And especially don't outperform the master when the master is the one who has power over you, right? Look at me. Look at that fucking Majin Obama shit. I turned down fucking money. I said, I don't need to do these interviews for money. I'm fine with just hanging out. Then Obama, oh, Clinton doesn't want to make money. Oh, fuck, let me Oh, and I don't want everyone to know that I'm the one making all this money off these interviews and doing this shit. Oh, God, let me make up a lie about Clayton, even though you can look at the private messages. Who else in the fighting game community is literally just turning down money? Who is saying, don't give me credit for this tech I didn't do? When you got motherfuckers, they'll take money for anything. They'll take credit for anything. Event Hubs, why is everyone at Event Hubs not banned when Event Hubs promotes people who have stolen money from the community? No shame. But infiltration is banned. Not to say things infiltration hasn't done don't deserve to be scrutinized, because I do think they do. And the tournament stuff he did sounds sketchy. That sounds particularly sketchy. But guess what? Is it as shady as Flash and Marn legitimately rigging tournaments all over, to the point they got caught rigging that one tournament that it got canceled halfway through and everyone just lost all their money, their plane tickets, their hotel, everything. Right? Look at all the stuff these people have done to me. Oh yeah, we don't want to talk about. Why? Because I actually won tournaments. Sick as fuck. Remember I've still signed on randomly online. Not for Guilty Gear. I guess it's been a while for Guilty Gear, but oh God, when's the last time I even played online? I guess it's been a while. God, I think I played once this year. Did I play maybe once this year Street Fighter? I don't remember. But whatever the case, still went on. Guess what? Easily winning, right? And I say that not to say that I'm good. It's just stating a fact. I'm surprised that I could win. I constantly say, I'm surprised I win, But a fact is a fact. Who's done more for tech in all these fighting games? You don't know? Oh, it's you, Clayton. We can't talk about it though, because we have to make money off it and we have to let you take the blame for everything, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, yeah, I just thought that was interesting, because I actually was recently trying to do a little bit of deep diving into speedrunning, because I was thinking that, speedrunning is the one community that might be kind of like fighting games in terms of that, you could see how animosity could be there, because it's a human being versus a human being. You can't really just blame the computer. Of course, we all get mad sometimes, we get frustrated, but we don't, go to the computer. I'm going to tell everyone that my Super Nintendo faked cancer. You know what I mean? And, that's not very reasonable. I'm sure there's some retarded person. There's a lot of crazy people in the fighting game community, I'm sure, But even as competitive as speedrunning is, and of course there is legitimate cheating, and of course there's guys like Billy Mitchell and all this kind of fucked up shit. I will say the one thing for Billy Mitchell to give him credit for, I don't understand what the problem is of that he played on a Donkey Kong cabinet with a different color thing. I feel like that just shows that he lied about it though. Unless you can tell me, I'm not well versed on Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. I don't know if certain levers in Donkey Kong, considering it's just like up, down, left, and right, I don't know if certain levers actually give you an advantage. I don't know about that. I feel like that's kind of petty, and it just goes to show that the guy will lie about anything, seemingly. That's how I took that. But the meme shit is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why. I don't know why people, whatever. But the point is, as much as people will cheat in speedrunning and everything like that, and as much as there's a competitive thing, you can still see that, and of course, God, they take away a person's world record, which is fucking crazy to me, but there still is this underlying sort of more of a community aspect seemingly than fucking fighting games. And I say that because of this idea that it's considered bad manners to hoard tech and to hoard, records, which I think is, I don't see why it's bad personally for there. Not that I think that you should hide tech, but reading some of these posts about how unhappy people were at some of these guys that they hid tech without saying it seems kind of retarded, because it's like, well, you didn't actually cheat. And they actually compared the guys to cheaters for the fact that they hid tech, which I think is crazy. But, but it just goes to show you the community, there's still some sort of like camaraderie, to whatever degree you want to say, right? But fighting games, God, it doesn't matter. People just lie, whatever. You know, I mean, it just extreme lies again. I've never seen anyone with my story in speedrunning. And I've looked, and if you know, I can't find anyone in any video game community that has had to deal with the bullshit that I've had to deal with. That people, how much money people have made off of stuff that I've done in video games, but, it just goes to show, I guess, fighting games are just a different breed of evil, I guess. Remember, if you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. The end.